I'm Renee Richard, host of Roots of Faith. Today we're in Tangipahoa Parish, and one of the interesting things that I have realized in researching where we're visiting today is the number of communities and the number of Native American names that we have and what they mean. So we're actually in the civil parish of Corn Cob, which would be the Indian dialect for Tangipahoa, and we're going to be visiting the town of Restful Pines, which is Tickfaw, Louisiana. And namely, we will be at Our Lady of Pompeii Parish and learn about their history here in Tangipahoa Parish. So Our Lady of Pompeii actually has its origins as far back as 1912 as a faith community. It was a parish under the Dominicans, and then it became a mission of both Independence and at some point, I believe, also Holy Ghost, which it is in between those two towns. But more importantly is Catholicism in Tangipahoa Parish started with the Benedictines up in Husser, which is close to the Eastern Parish, on Chapapilla Creek, which I believe means Hurricane Creek. But in light of that, Father Skyllard was the priest that brought mainstream Catholicism down through St. Helena and then down what is now the I-55 corridor to Ponchatoula as well. Now, if you're not familiar with Tangipahoa, the next parish that came into existence was in Independence in 1908, and that's really when we see Our Lady of Pompeii's faith community take off with the Spanish Dominicans. So we're going to be here visiting this parish, learning more about it. In the community itself, at the turn of the century, land opened up after the timbering business, and we saw a great influx of Italians that moved into this region for strawberry farming, truck farming, and so the root of this parish pretty much goes back to a lot of Italian roots. And as you will learn, a lot of the history here is based on practices that they brought here, as well as the Spanish and Dominicans brought here. So join us as we explore the wonderful parish of Our Lady of Pompeii. I have as my guest today, Deacon Al Levy. Deacon, thank you for being with us on the show today.
Thank you for coming.
You are the administrator here at Our Lady of Pompeii, am I correct?
Yes,
but
ma'am.
You have a lot of other hats that you wear here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be here and your role here.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I am the parish life coordinator and the administrator of Our Lady of Pompeii. We do not have a pastor. We have a sacramental minister, Father Michael Galea, and of course he takes care of all of the liturgical things in the parish. And what I take care of is if the roof's leaking, then I have to see that we stop the leaks, that we take care of all of the physical things here in the parish. Yes, actually, I'm not here. I'm not from Tickfaw. I'm not from Our Lady of Pompeii, so maybe that makes it a little bit more interesting, so to speak. I'm from New Orleans, grew up in the French Quarter, just a few blocks from St. Louis Cathedral Church. Went to school right there at St. Louis Cathedral Elementary School, and graduated from LSU-NO in 1967, which of course that's UNO today. I got married at 35 in 1979, so my wife and I have been married for 40 years. As the next few years went on, I got interested in the diaconate, and so got into the program in the Archdiocese of New Orleans about 1983, and was ordained in 1987. I was in the last class that Archbishop Hannon ordained, so I feel really kind of special and sounded kind of good about that. My profession was teaching. I taught school for 44 years, 20 years in regular education and 24 years in special education. I taught at school, Christ the King School in Terrytown, Louisiana, for almost 20 years, and then went to public school because I needed to make more money. So obviously I got into public school. I taught at Chalmette High School because my family and I moved into Araby. I taught at Chalmette High School until, from 1992 until 2005, until that mean old lady hit New Orleans, and that was Hurricane Katrina. And so it destroyed our house, and we had to get out. We went to Mississippi for a little while, and then we came here to Tickfall, to Our Lady of Pompeii, around 2007. So that's when I got introduced, really, to the parish at that time.
So you've been here as a deacon since that time? When were you?
I've been here, well.
I know you were already a deacon.
Right. I served as, let's say, in deacon ministry from about 2007 to 2013, when I retired from teaching. And then over the past 6 years, now I'm into my 7th year as administrator here at the parish.
One of the things that you were telling me before we started, and we were just in general talking, is what appealed to you about this town, that it's a little gem in the diocese, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We, maybe a lot of people in the Diocese of Baton Rouge don't know too much about us. Maybe some of them have never heard of us. We're kind of nestled between Independence, where Mater Dei Rosa Church is, parish is, and Hammond, Holy Ghost, and St. Albert Chapel on the campus of Southeastern. So maybe we're forgotten by some people sometime, or really not known. But we are really a gem here, definitely. And reasons being that the people, the folks here really love the Blessed Mother, really love her, understand her as our spiritual mother, as the mother that Jesus has given to us. And these people really love this parish. They love this church. And proof of the pudding is that whenever we have any events in the parish, they're here. They are definitely here helping and going beyond, not just coming to Mass on the weekend or a couple of Masses that we have during the week, but really doing other things to help the parish. For example, there are 3 major things that we do here during the year. The first of them actually took place last weekend, the first weekend of July 7th and 8th. We always, the first full weekend of July, have what we call the Blessed Mother Feast, where we honor the Mother of Grace. And it's a 2-day feast centering around spiritual activities, Mass, benediction, the Rosary, a novena to the Blessed Mother. We have a statue of the Blessed Mother, a beautiful statue in the chapel. Now the chapel, the Mother of Grace Chapel, is about 7/8 of a mile from the church. And a number of men, 8 or 9 men, participate in carrying the statue of the Blessed Mother from the chapel to the church on that Saturday afternoon. And it is put here in the sanctuary and left until Sunday evening. And during that time, we have Mass at 5:30. We have our 9 o'clock Mass in the morning. People will come in and spend some time praying before the statue of our Blessed Mother. And then we have activities in our Pompeii Hall, which is our big hall here in the parish. And we have bingo, food, games, all sorts of things that you'd expect from a nice little parish celebration, sure. So that's one big event we have.
Well, what people may not realize is y'all have been doing this. This is the 92nd year.
The 92nd
correct?
year,
That they have been doing this.
Right. I was just a little boy when it started. And, well, anyway, yes, ma'am.
No, that's fine. Because of the length, what the devotion here, I think, is attributed to so much, too, is that this parish began 1912, 1913, the faith community did, and they were originally under the Benedictines, but then you had the Spanish Dominicans that came in, and then from there, the American Dominicans, and their philosophy is their devotion to the Blessed Mother. And so I think, that the basis here is because of the fundamental beliefs of the Dominicans too, wouldn't you say? I
Oh,
mean, that's
absolutely.
really what has infiltrated, this area.
Yes.
So I just wanted to add that, because our viewers, we're talking about this ceremony, but I was amazed that this was the 92nd year that we had it. So that was all. And so you were saying there's another event?
Yes, ma'am. In March, especially because we have a large Italian population in our parish, we have just a magnificent St. Joseph altar. People come from all areas, all over the place. New Orleans, from Mississippi, Texas, certainly from all the different parishes
Yeah, from
on
what
the
I
North
read, it's the
Shore.
largest in Tangipahoa.
It is, yes, ma'am, it is.
It's the event here.
I think this past March, we fed over 400 people.
Oh, my goodness.
At the altar. So, and we have ladies that cook those terrific Italian cookies. People tell us certainly it's the best cookies they get at any one of the altars. So we're pretty proud about that. We're proud of the fact that we're humble. So anyway, yeah, and so that's a big event. And again, it's because of the volunteerism of our people, that
They do
it's
it
so
all.
successful. Yes, ma'am. And the third major event, religious geared kind of event, is the reacting of the Last Supper, Da Vinci's Last Supper, and that takes place on Palm Sunday, Passion Sunday. And right here in the sanctuary, we set up a table, and where the Jesus and the apostles will come together for that last meal. We have one young fellow that really resembles what we see of Jesus in that particular painting by Da Vinci. It's really amazing when he comes out, and people are really awed by the way he looks and dressed and so on. And then each one of the apostles comes up to the front, in front of everyone, and a little thumbnail sketch, let's say, of each one of their lives is presented. And finally, they all join the portrayal of Jesus, and they pose. And they pose just as Da Vinci
Would have painted it.
did paint
Did
that.
paint it, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. We put all the lights out, and then people take turns coming up here, taking pictures of that scene, because it's magnificent, it really. And once again, we have really, this has been done for the past 20 years.
That's what I was going to ask, how long they've been
About
doing it.
20
It's been a
years.
while, I know.
And we're finding out that there's more people from other parishes that come than in our parish. I mean, people here have seen it so many times, but it's really something to come and see, and finally take your own picture of that setting, of the portraying of Da Vinci's Last Supper. And that's on Palm Sunday, Passion Sunday, every year in the evening.
See, folks, and now y'all might want to come see that.
Yeah, I'm sure most people are probably not familiar with those three major events that we have here in our parish.
We're in this beautiful church here, which I think was built in the 1960s for the parish here. And about how many families? It's not a real big parish. You're not a real big community. It's a wonderful little town that's here. I think I read around 250 families, but my data may not be up to date. So about how many families are now in the parish? Do you know?
Yes, we have over 200 families.
Okay, that's the same.
Possibly 240, something like that.
So pretty much the same.
So, yes, ma'am, about the same. And I had said before how this is really a gem of a parish, and I'm sure every parish can say the same thing or feel the same thing.
Yeah, but y'all have something different here.
Right. But what I meant there particularly was that since we're a smaller parish, then we really rely so much on the volunteerism of a few, and which is a good enough number. But still, they're there. They are there. They are here to help and to volunteer. So that's what I really meant by being a gem and doing the things that we do here. That once again, maybe a lot of people aren't aware of, but we're really happy and proud of what people do to maintain this parish, to keep us going.
And Tickfaw itself is not a big community. You
No,
said it
ma'am.
was the status of a village, which is about 300, 350, and I know there's like one main road coming in between the interstate and, what's that, 51?
51,
That's
yes,
right
ma'am.
there. So this community here, but one of the things that when I was researching too is that y'all kind of spearhead Tangipahoa too with with the ballpark that's here, with softball. It's co-ed children's softball, and they come from all over Tangipahoa to play here, correct?
Yes, ma'am,
A lot
they
of
do.
what goes on in the community is directly connected to the Catholic Church. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? That
Yes.
y'all have police support without any question. You were telling me for funerals even, there's no charges, that kind of thing. But y'all do host most of Tangipahoa with the softball in the summers, right? Here,
Yeah.
right here.
Yes, ma'am. In fact, we're in July right now, and the league is going on. It had some bumps and bruises because of the weather, all the rain that we've had, but it's June and July. We're having this not a tournament, but a season for these children to play. So, yeah, in that way, we have an outreach, too, from our parish. We're not just focused here in this building in the church.
Well,
But well,
No,
yeah,
talking about buildings, though, one of the things that I don't want to forget, too, is, y'all used to have a hall that was right by here, and the first church that was built in the 1920s, because y'all almost 100 years or over 100 years old as far as the faith community goes.
Yes.
That building was on the side of here, and there was a St. Dominic Hall, and y'all have plans, right, on, as far as this campus goes, like you were saying, to do something there?
Yes, ma'am. I really haven't announced this yet, but it's okay. I mean, we can,
So I'm
we
spilling the
can do
beans,
that.
folks.
Well,
But-
I'm sure by
but
the
it's
time.
coming down the tube, yeah.
It is. And
It's in the
very
plans.
briefly, I'm going to bring this plan to the people that across the road behind us, we have what used to be a residence, a home, which our parish has bought, and that serves as a residence for our priest, Father Michael, and then part of it is the office for the church. And I want to get a building on the slab that we now have on the west side of the church for our office and for some meeting rooms, those kinds of things. And then just just to have the house as the residence, totally the residence for the priest. Looking to the future, to continue what we've been doing here, that it will continue in the coming years.
That's it. Now, the building that's directly behind the church is on this campus is
Pompeii Hall.
Pompeii Hall, and I know that's where events occur now.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's a big meeting hall there, and that was built
That was built by the
parishioners
parishioners.
by hand.
Yeah, so
By
once,
hand.
yeah, right. So
And that's how they
once-
are here.
That's right, and some of them are still with us, and they watch that hall. We've had some leakage problems and so on, but we get that finished, as quickly as we can. And they're very devoted to making sure that we still have that building. It's one of the biggest halls in Tangi Parish, by the way. So, and we do have wedding receptions, and we have, of course, the St. Joseph altar. The Blessed Mother feast is held in that
building.
Yes, ma'am, in that building also. That is another attraction of our parish, as well as we do have a cemetery. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's about 3 or 4 tenths of a mile from here. And that cemetery is not a dead issue, because people are still being buried there. We own some of the mausoleum spots, and so it's really, it's another area of interest and work and so on with our parish. And I have to mention that for these 6 years, going into the 7th year, I have the same secretary, Miss Loretta Bergeron, who's terrific, Mr. Bob Wegman, who's the bookkeeper and, let's say, the office manager, and he takes complete control of the cemetery. So they've been wonderful, and I have to at least mention them.
Yeah, and the cemetery, when you're coming in, if you're coming off there's that train you and I were talking about. When you come off of the interstate and you're coming towards the church, you see there's a big, beautiful iron arch that says Our Lady of Pompeii.
Yes,
right
ma'am.
in front of it, so it's hard to miss. But that cemetery goes back to another 100 years of this community being here, right?
Again,
It's a very old
the
cemetery.
parishioners, as I understand, built it originally, and set out spaces for burial plots and so on.
And it was the same man that donated the land for the cemetery that donated this little plot of land where the church is built when I was doing the research on it as well. Deacon Al, this parish, Our Lady of Pompeii, is a young parish, older parish? It's got more older residents in it, does it not? You
Yes,
and I were
ma'am.
talking?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Because one of the things we want to talk about is a little about the ministries that you have here. And you were mentioning that the Eucharistic ministers here do more than just serve at Mass.
Sure. We do have a ministry of outreach to the homebound, bringing Holy Communion definitely to them. And not just bringing Holy Communion, but also visiting them.
So
Yeah.
important.
And as I remember when I was studying to be a deacon, one of the priests that taught us said that we would always be known as the man from beyond. And I think that's a good way of describing anyone who brings Holy Communion or visits homebound, because they see somebody from beyond, and it's good. It keeps them connected to the community, to the parish.
Yeah, people tend to forget sometimes when people aren't out in the community, that they're home alone. And so that definitely would make them feel, more welcome.
Yes,
with
ma'am.
having visitors. So what other
Certainly.
ministries do y'all have here at Our Lady of Pompeii?
Well, we have two very active groups, the Knights of Columbus and the Catholic Daughters. In fact, the Catholic Daughters just celebrated, I think, their 34th year.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
And they have some ladies in that group that have been, I guess, the whole 34 years, and then some other younger ones too. So, and it's a group that has really supported the parish through their prayers, through attendance here at the liturgies, and also at being part of the Italian festival, which is not really our parish festival, but it has to do with all of this area, with Italian families and so on. So they make a little money from that and help the church when we need help repairing something or, doing...
That general volunteerism.
Right, general volunteerism. And the Knights of Columbus also, there are a number of things around on the campus here, on the grounds, that they have repaired, some things they have built. So they're very, energetic, and they also are really a vital part of our parish too.
Now,
Certainly.
I know we were talking it was an older parish, but y'all do have young kids, and do you have a children's school religious education program?
Yes,
here
ma'am.
as well? I couldn't think of the name
Right.
of what it's called.
We do, and we've moved back to 9 o'clock Mass now on Sunday, and I anticipate that we'll have more children, at that time, and we're going to hopefully reinstate the children's church time when we take the little ones off to the side and let them do little activities during the homily and during certain parts of the Mass to get them more, let's say, more interested and more hands-on to things that might seem kind of difficult for them to get just from hearing words. So yes, we do. We have. I have a lady, Miss Christy Bankovic, who is the the head of our religion.
DRE.
The DRE,
Yeah.
DRE, right. Those three letters, DRE.
I understand.
Yes, so she's, very much involved in helping us to keep this program going.
Do the school kids in this area, do any of them go to the parochial schools? Because you're about centrally located between Independence, which has a Catholic school, correct, and Hammond, which has a Catholic school. Do you know? I mean, most of the kids that you see are kids in public school here?
Public school,
So
definitely.
not many of them travel that distance to the other parochial schools? I was just
Right.
curious.
Right,
So I
they
know we
don't-
do have good schools
Yes.
close, but not in this community itself.
Certainly, yes, we have the children that go to public school, and so we have a number of children that come outside the parish, definitely,
okay.
here to our
As well?
school. Yes, ma'am, as well. So We do. We have a rather school, that is hopefully going to grow a little bit more over the next couple of years, and it is a good part of our parish.
Deacon Al, you were just telling me, on break just now, that your time here is somewhat limited. Explain why.
Well, the rule is that deacons have to retire at 75, at the age of 75.
Which I did not know.
And I was 75 in March past, and so I had to send my letter of retirement to the bishop. But we're also allowed in that letter to ask if we could have another year, if it was okay with the bishop. And so he did send a letter back granting me another year to be here as the administrator at Our Lady of Pompeii. And I'm really so happy about that. And of course, next March, when I'm 76, then I'll have to send another letter to him.
Okay, so you're allowed to continue just sending the letter as it presents
Right,
itself.
and hopefully he'll send the right letter, or let's say, the letter that I prefer back to me. But anyway, we'll see about all of that. But yes, we must retire officially at least at 75.
Well, Deacon Al, thank you today for being our guest on the show, and it's been enlightening. It's not a parish that I had visited. It's one that I know well because I come up to St. Helena often for my family, but it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I've learned so much about this parish as well as our viewers. So, again, thank you.